Hey there YouTube, this is Guerrilla, how you doing? So we're about to hit it off with a bit of Borderlands 2, a bit of Axton Commando, going Commando. And I thought I'd put a bit of a build together based on how I play, and also because having a bit of a look around, there isn't anything quite like it out there at this stage. And it's a build that I've found to be quite successful so far. So yeah, hopefully you guys can learn something from it. Might like it, might not like it. Comment, let me know. It's awesome. It's a good way to learn. Best part of YouTube. Okay, so I mean, there's a few different ways to play Commando. You know, you can be offensive, defensive. In co-op, you can go a bit more support. Myself and this build is going to focus around quite a sort of an aggressive running gun sort of style, getting up close and personal, using the turret quite a bit. But using the turret as a distraction. So you'll see in this build that my turret has basically, you know, it's got like quite a few skills built into it to get it sort of quite beefed up attack-wise, just to make sure that when it's starting to hit, the enemies can hold their attention, giving me the opportunity to do what I like to do, which is get around the enemies, flank them, take them out, especially close quarters. Like I tend to use shotguns and SMGs, so you want to get quite close to be able to get those critical hits and finish him. So let's just dive in. Now, obviously, you've got to go with the saber turret skill first of all. As you can see, it's got a 42-second cooldown, so you know, a reasonable sort of cooldown. But as you'll see as I work through and have a bit of a chat, I don't think that's actually too bad. You can work with that. So seeing as we're going with a bit of we're wanting to beef out our turret, we'll start looking directly at the Guerrilla tree. Now you want to go across to Sentry. Now I go 5 out of 5. Basically, it gives you the maximum shot burst as well as the extra duration of your actual turret, which is pretty good. That extra duration then, that's 10 seconds it's going to eat into your cooldown, which is pretty cool. So that combined with the fact that in Borderlands 2 now, you can pick your turret up before it's done, refunding some of that time back. I think basically with good management, having an extra cooldown isn't really needed. Now, building this one up early on, and again, being an up-close and personal build, I like to focus a little bit on my shield strength. So I'm going to have a look at the willing skill. Now that's going to give you basically a boost to your shield recharge rate and shield delay. I find is, you know, pretty vital when you're up close, even though your turret's going to be trying to distract things. Now, as you can see with the 5 out of 5, that brings you up to the 3rd tier, and awesome skill to get as soon as you can is Scorched Earth. Those rockets, 22 rockets per volley, can absolutely romp most types of enemies. Combine that with double up later on, and you've got quite a little beefy friend out on the field with you. Yeah, rockets, plenty of hits, as well as 2 guns and slag. Yeah, you're going to kick some butt. Now to get to double up, there's a few different ways you can go. It's a little bit, you know, dependent on your playstyle. But personally, at first, I didn't actually use laser sight. But as I started to, or more or less once I got more to my second playthrough, I found that, you know, my turret didn't seem to be holding sort of quite as strong. So, you know, I started playing with some things and started to, I thought, oh, well, I'll check out the laser sight, see what it can do. And I was quite surprised. I mean, yes, you read it, it says obviously it increases the accuracy. I was never so sure how much of an effect that was going to have. And in the past, I was being the up close and personal type thing. I was trying to focus on some of the skills that were, you know, maybe health related, shield related, or even in some instances kill skill related, because you have a couple that blend in where the kill skill might boost your shield or give you extra damage. But trying the laser sight out, it's something that I recommend, that's for sure. Definitely seems to make a bit of a difference when you start to get those tougher enemies. And those tougher enemies that jump around a hell of a lot, which is awesome with the AI in Borderlands 2, I gotta say. So we're working our way to double up, and there's still some choices you can make depending on playstyle. Now, grenades. I'm finding grenades in the original game, grenades weren't such a big factor. But in this one, they can be extremely handy. One of my favorite types of grenades is a singularity. I tend to use it as a bit of a crowd control, and a bit of a way to, I guess, sometimes maximize my turret. Because, you know, obviously you get enemies that hide behind corners and things like that. Toss a singularity out into, you know, say in front of your turret, and it's gonna, what the singularity does is it pulls your enemies to it before it explodes. So pulling it to it obviously is going to bring it back in front of your turret. quite often those kind of things will also have an elemental effect. So if you think about it, you're going to have slag on your turret, maybe electrocute fire from that grenade, and you're going to pull them into that highly accurate gun. It's going to do a pretty damn good job on some of those sort of, more basic enemies, giving you a chance to really concentrate on those big badasses and super badasses that, later on can seriously kick your ass. Grenadier, I find it's worth checking out. I probably won't go 5 out of 5, but it's worth getting a couple extra. It definitely can't hurt. I would say, with where we're at the moment, I'd probably go with a bit of reload speed to beef up, particularly if you're starting to use things like assault rifles and shotguns. They can be some of the slower reloaders, so it's a good way to get that bit boosted up. So we're almost there, so I think we'll put a couple more in the Grenadier just to get there, and there we go, we got double up. So 31, so that's still, from what I've seen, that's still going through your first playthrough. That's a pretty solid turret build. You can change some of that out. You could swap reload for something else. Crisis management is not too bad as well. It gives you a bit of survivability if it really comes down to it. But I mean, for a bit more survivability, I tend to, on every build, no matter what variation of Axton I've gone with, I've always gone with a bit of preparation in there. So I recommend the 5 out of 5. You can never have enough shield, and one of the better parts of it is when your shield is completely full, you're going to regenerate health. So if you combine that with a really good recharge and recharge delay, then basically you're gonna be sitting pretty well in most situations. Going to be able to get that health back without having to dash out in front of enemies again and get pickups or open boxes or anything like that. So that's the basic flavor of what I would go with. Obviously there's more points. I mean, by that level, probably getting closer to your second playthrough, and you're going to have plenty of points to keep to spread around. Ones I'd probably recommend is, just for a bit of extra oomph from Axton, Impact out of the Gunpowder tree, 5 out of 5 there. The melee damage, it comes with it. It can be pretty handy, but you got really good reload speed. You should be able to use that gun damage, so that's pretty handy. And it gets you to Metal Storm, which I quite like. In some of those sort of clusterfuck situations or quite hectic situations where you might be getting low on health, or you've just got a tough enemy, it's a kill skill that basically is going to, your fire rate is just going to go on steroids. It's just going to go crazy. As well as you can see there, it reduces your recoil, which means, plenty of good hits with a decent gun and awesome killing all around. Like, I've found that little skill there, that has saved my butt on quite a few occasions. I highly recommend it. And so we've got 4 points left. There's a few things you could look at. I mean, steady, reduce your recoil, get a bit of extra grenade and rocket damage. If you're using the grenades a lot, I'd say that's probably, a pretty viable choice. If you're using SMGs a lot, that's a pretty viable choice. Even as you move on through the game and get some of the better ones, there are quite a few that still dart around the place, left, right, up, down, all over the place. But probably out of the lot that's here, and sort of as much as we've unlocked, I would look at, more closely, I'd look at either Onslaught, which is pretty cool. Again, extra gun damage once you've killed something, and movement speed. So probably following along with the kind of style of play that I go with, that may be the choice. The gun damage is great. The movement is probably the key there in that instance, because you're going to be able to run and gun. So pop a guy, keep running around, run them back to your turret, lure them all to your turret very, very quickly, and then just as they're coming in, your turret, you just pop them. Other than that, the Battlefront skill is something that you could go with basically while your turret's out. It's going to give you extra gun damage, melee damage, grenade damage. To be honest, I haven't used it a great deal myself. I have tended to go with the Onslaught skill, but yeah, definitely a viable option, because I mean, you're going to be trying to get your turret out pretty often to use as a distraction when you can. So, while it's out, you may as well do more damage. It's going to do a decent amount of damage, may as well boost you up as well. So it definitely can't hurt. So those are my thoughts, guys. That's my my Guerrilla build. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think that there's something that can be improved, something that I've explained is not quite right, or you just want to have a chat or whatever it may be. Just let me know. Let me know how you guys go with it as well, because it'd be interesting to see, if what I use with that aggressive playstyle works for you guys. And if it doesn't, we can go through questions, we can revise the build. I mean, it's still early days of the game, and there's so much to learn, and as you start to get through and go through other second playthroughs, it's like I'm finding it's like a whole new game again, which is freaking awesome. Cannot get enough of Borderlands 2, and loving Axton, so I can't get enough of playing this guy and refining him, and making him an also awesome solo machine and then co-op machine as well. So yeah, thanks for hanging out with me, guys, and yeah, leave some comments, like this one, favorite it, check me out on Facebook and Twitter, and I'll see you guys soon with another build.